Hey, welcome to A Real Point of View. I am the movie guy, Greg Morgan, and joining me are my associate film critics on the internet, Miss Karen D, the movie maven, and Mr. Steven C, the man who doesn't pick a bad movie. So, what we were talking about the films at the Oscars. We're going to talk about the Oscars today, what we thought about the outcome. But one of the things that we were kind of toying with a minute ago was Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga on stage behind the piano. Look pretty saucy to me, guys. I don't
Much
know.
ado about nothing. Oh my goodness.
There's much to do about a
Sure.
lot.
That's what you say when you try
Much
to block.
ado about nothing.
That's what you say when you try to block stuff. Oh, it's nothing. Oh, nothing really happened. Oh, it was all that. Oh, wait a minute. Oh,
It's just a song. They're actors. That's what actors do.
It's just a song and dance. That's all it is.
It was just acting. Oh, I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. Behind the head on the shoulder, Bradley.
It's all fun and games until somebody loses an eye.
That's generally where all this goes after the fact, is somebody losing an eye.
Mm-hmm. Just saying, it looked kind of saucy. That's all I'm saying.
Yes.
But I do have to say one thing about this Oscars. It seemed very predictable.
You think?
Yeah, to me it did.
You know, when it came down to the best film, I wasn't sure who was going to get it. But I'll be honest with you, I saw the Green Book, and I actually liked it. I had heard a lot of controversial things prior to going to see it, and I guess I get some of what they're saying, but it didn't destroy the movie for me. I enjoyed it. I liked it. Mashallah Ali, good job. Viggo Mortensen, good job. It was just a good film to me. So I was kind of glad it won. Didn't have a problem with that. And Rami Malek, that was the big deal to me. Wow. But saw Bohemian Rhapsody, you'd have thought, you would literally would have thought that he was the embodiment.
Especially during the Live Aid concert scene. During all of that, he just looked and sound, and I know how they do the sound things, but the leading to it, the everything, it just he was him, and that's major credit to him.
Yeah, he did an excellent job. It was very believable. But the irony is the things that you don't know about a person and the back story about a person, and especially an iconic person, and for him to pull it off like that. There's those rare moments where you get an actor or an actress that looks and seems that embodiment of the person that they're trying to represent, is probably a really good way to say it, on film, without really knowing that person per se. But, I thought he pulled it off. So kudos to him for that. We had a lot of films being nominated where these were based off of true stories or real people, like Vice, for example, the Vice President Cheney. Yeah, and there was no way I thought this was Christian Bale and all that makeup. That threw me.
But interestingly enough, he didn't win.
Yeah,
that's the irony. Yep.
And I kind of thought he might be a shoo-in, but no. I guess not.
No. Steve had said something to me earlier about the difference between what they say, i.e., I guess social media, the media, and art. Can you expound on that a little bit?
One thing that when it comes to, we'll take the Green Book, for example, but there's a lot of controversy and a lot of misinterpretation of the story, the true facts versus what Hollywood's trying to tell. And there's a known fact that Hollywood does Hollywood type things when they're making movies. They're not going to tell you the truth or the whole truth, because honestly, the whole truth is not oftentimes as exciting or as captivating as the story Hollywood wants to tell.
Mhm.
So what the critics do, or what the voters for the Oscars and things like that, I believe that, and it's wrong sometimes. Like we can point out multiple occasions where the Oscars has got it wrong, but they try their best to separate everything going on with social media, everything going on with the real world, and everything that has to do with who is or is not angry with this movie, and try to separate all of that from the art itself, from the acting, from the production, from the camera work, from the director work, to the actors themselves. And I believe that with the Green Book, that's one of the things that really helped this movie. As good as this movie is versus some of the other movies that are on here, there are good. The Oscars was a list of good movies.
Yeah.
The only one that I didn't see was the Black Klansman,
Mhm.
and I'm sure it was good.
I saw it and it was excellent. And
Yeah, I'm sure it was excellent. I'm sure it was funny, but I really felt that they did a good job of separating all of everything in the real world and just separated it to the art of the movies, and that's why the Green Book was chosen.
Yeah, I think what maybe people don't remember or don't consider, like when they're adapting anything for the screen, is there is a screen. What am I looking for? The screenwriter, someone who writes for the film to bring all this stuff, like it's say a novel. You can't put a total novel on screen. It would take hours upon hours upon hours upon hours, and we'd have to see it, the movie in like a series form. So the screenwriter takes all those wonderful elements and tries to bring it to life for us to enjoy. So I totally agree with you, Steve, on that and that merit. That's what a screenwriter is there for, to help you to understand and be able to focus on the important things maybe, but the things that are going to be entertaining about it. So yeah, that makes total sense to me.
But even with all of that, you can still argue, there's still debatable as to whether Green Book was the right movie to win.
Mm-hmm.
And was it significantly better than, say, Black Panther, or was it significantly better than A Star is Born, or Black Klansman, or whatever? I mean, personally, I was kind of hoping that maybe Black Klansman or Black Panther would pull it out. I didn't think Black Panther was going to win, because I think, there's a major issue with, I think it's very difficult for a movie to win Best Picture if the director has not been nominated for Best Director.
Mm-hmm.
And Ryan Coogler was not nominated for Best Director. By the same token, I don't know how you can nominate a picture for Best Director and not nominate its director, because film is such a director-driven medium. I mean, it is so director-driven that I don't know, how do you have a Best Picture but the director's not good enough? That disconnect makes absolutely no sense to me.
And even with the actors, nobody was nominated.
Mm-hmm.
That was in
Right.
this ensemble cast was a really good cast, good enough for everyone to say, hey, this film should be nominated. But nobody in that cast was nominated for any major roles. Now, i.e.,
no Chadwick Boseman, no Letitia Wright, no Angela Bassett, no, not one person was nominated for an acting award. So I knew Black Panther was not going to win.
Honestly,
and then Remy Malek, and then Bohemian Rhapsody, that was nominated, and also Green Book with both actors nominated. So yeah.
Right.
I figured at least if anybody in the Black Panther movie would have been nominated, it would have been I can't think of his name off the top of my head.
Forrest Whitaker?
No,
Michael Jordan.
Michael B. Jordan playing Killmonger, because
wow, yeah, he did a really good job.
Yeah, he was awesome.
And another listing thing of shows that we've done in the past of the villain, who we associate as the villain in this movie, is kind of above everybody when it comes to the acting in the movie.
Right. Right. But
Most
somehow,
most believable character for sure.
Mm-hmm.
right. But still, and I guess, I mean, I saw Black Klansman the night before the Oscars came on Saturday night, and I was pleasantly surprised at how good that movie was. And I kind of have put, I personally had put off seeing Black Klansman. I mean, it was on my list of movies to see, but then at the end of the day, I kind of just kept looking for excuses not to go see it, because it was like, I don't want to go to the movies and be depressed, mad, sad. I don't want to be horrified. I don't want to, I just don't want to see yet another movie about how oppressed African Americans have been in this country. Thank you, Ku Klux Klan. That's not how I want to spend time much. So I really put it off. But then I kind of heard, well, it was really, it's a well-rounded story, and it's, there's comedy. And I'm like, really? So it's not just depression and doom and gloom and the horror and the apocalypse and all this other stuff. All right, I'll check it out. And then I just, it just took a while for me to get around to it. But once I did see it, I thought, wow, this is probably one of Spike Lee's best movies. I would put this movie up there with Malcolm X in terms of how well he told this story. And he told it with the deftness and sureness of someone who is mature and someone who is very confident in his abilities as an artist. And he knows exactly what to address and what to leave alone. And the ability to edit yourself, to me, is what separates true artists from people who, try to be artists. Knowing what not to do is as important as knowing what to do a lot of times. And he showed that in this movie. Just, little touches here and there that just really sort of, without saying anything, without making a big deal about it, he made some really interesting points without being preachy. And he had interesting characters. Adam Driver was awesome in this movie. Mm-hmm. And I'd forgotten that he was in Star Wars, playing, Han Solo's son. I'd completely forgotten about that. It's like, well, he looks familiar. Why does he look familiar? Oh, crap, he was in Star Wars.
I know, you take a mask off of somebody and then, oh, my God, revelations, revealing just everything.
Right, and the character he played was entirely different than the one that he played in Star Wars, of course. So it really impressed me as, my view of him as an actor really went up quite a bit. I thought he was good in Star Wars, but he's really a good actor, because this is like a 180-degree flip from Star Wars. And, John David Washington, Denzel Washington's son, played the lead character, oh my goodness, what is his name? I can't remember the man's name now.
I know, kind of interesting. The point I was going to try to bring up too was this is a fact-based film. Three movies that are nominated that deal with real people, and I can't think of his name either. The actual agent who really exists. Right.
But anyway, there were just some really weird. I mean, the whole situation was weird. I mean, here's this guy who just kind of shows up in Colorado Springs and says, I want to be a cop, and then they stick him in the basement, and he endures the, racist hassling or whatever. And then he's like, I want to be undercover. And they're like, well, okay. And they put him undercover, and then he just ends up, coming up with this way of infiltrating the Klan. Ironically, it's Ron Stallworth.
I was going to say it was Ron Stallworth. I was about to say that. Okay, well, good.
Ironically, when he finished, when he left Colorado Springs, he went to Utah. That's where he spent most of his career and ended up retiring. It was Utah law enforcement. So it's like, okay. But I mean, the man grew up in El Paso. I mean, he was born in Chicago, but he grew up in El Paso. So probably Colorado Springs seemed like a step up. I don't know. Anyway, it was just really interesting, quirky story, and Spike Lee found the quirky parts and the parts that made sense that were just plain funny. Because I'm like, when you think about it, like, this is bizarre.
Mm-hmm.
So that was cool. So I don't know. Part of me was like, oh, please let Black Klansman win, but I knew that wasn't going to happen. At least Spike Lee got to give a speech with best adapted screenplay, which is what he won for.
Yeah, I mean, it's just amazing the I noticed how how you listen to the crowd, and when his name was mentioned, a lot of applause, and when the movie was mentioned, a lot of applause.
Yeah.
Just kind of cool. So let's talk about the other movie that seemed to get a little attention, especially in the media. A lot of times people are not aware of it, but when these actors and directors go out to try to promote the movie, there's a quote unquote film kit where you're going to do all this different stuff. And Bradley Cooper, more than anybody, seemed to just really get out there to represent his movie. So this is a movie. This is like the third
version.
Thank you. Version of A Star Is Born, right?
Yeah, the first one was with Janet Gaynor and Frederick March. Then it's fourth version.
Wow.
So it's the first one in the, I guess in the 40s, maybe late 30s, with Janet Gaynor and Frederick March. Then it was Judy Garland and James Mason, which is my favorite version. Then Barbra Streisand and Chris Christopherson. Then Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper.
Yeah. So was the fourth time a charm? It obviously was pretty much so, because you've got nominated movie, nominated song. I mean, wow.
And Lady Gaga won for the song.
Wow. That's amazing in itself. I mean, who knew?
Right.
Who'd have thunk, as it were.
And wasn't Bradley Cooper nominated for Best Director?
Let's take a look.
Can't remember. No, he was not. Okay.
No, he wasn't. He was
it was
he was leading
actor.
Oh, he was nominated for actor.
He was leading actor, and then Lady Gaga got
for
supporting for leading actress.
Leading actress, yep.
Well, can we talk about leading actress for a second?
Sure.
Did you see that coming? I know I didn't.
I didn't, because you know what? It's funny. Of all the ways you were talking about Black Klansman, you were trying to kind of push back. For whatever reason, I pushed back Favorite. Not really thinking that it was much. Never really heard anything about it very much until close to the Oscars. And even though it looked like it might be a fun film, that kind of turned me off in the sense of every scene I saw was kind of whimsy. And, that doesn't usually win in the Oscars.
You know what?
No?
Watching this movie, I didn't feel the same way about the movie, but it reminded me a lot of Lady Bird.
The Favorite reminded you of Lady Bird?
Not how the movie was done, not anything like that, but it reminded me of how when I was looking at Lady Bird, I didn't see a winning movie, a movie that could win, or that, especially with Soren, I believe her name was, winning Best Actress, that she won. I just saw this the same way, and I heard Glenn Close, I heard Lady Gaga, Roma. I mean, Roma was all over the place,
right?
And but this just seemed like that kind of movie that could just swipe an award, and it did.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what was going on with the Academy in terms of that, because I think it would have been really nice if the woman from Roma had won. It would have, just to me, it would have been nice to see like an indigenous person win an Academy Award for the first time ever in its history. And by the same token, I think it would have been nice to see Glenn Close win, because I don't believe she's ever won an Academy Award. She's been nominated numerous times. I don't think she's ever won.
Correct.
And the woman's a consummate actress. And I haven't seen The Wife, but I have no doubt that she did brilliant work, because I've never seen her deliver a bad performance ever. It didn't
Yeah.
matter what kind of role it was.
My wife and I actually saw her in New York on Broadway, and
In Sunset Boulevard.
yes, and it was wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Totally, sadly believable.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to give away the ending necessarily, but her um, Mr. DeMille moment was really good. So I really enjoyed that presentation. It was great.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but what's interesting? I try to watch Roma. I'm just being honest. I think I have to get past my stigma of having to read and watch, read and watch, read and watch because it's not in English. And so you're reading subtitles the whole time. And so it takes away, in my opinion, from your focus. And it was hard for me to get involved in the film, although the early parts of the movie were quirky enough to keep my interest for a little bit, but because they're trying to develop her role and also her experience with the family that she worked for and all that stuff. But um, at the same time, bring in the revolution that was about to happen. Um, it still took away from it for me, and it made it harder for me to sit there and watch. And then, of course, it's in black and white, the whole film. Don't dislike black and white films, but I don't know. I think it was modern enough that it was a little distracting,
Hmm.
even the black and white for me. So, but the one good thing that I did realize in watching Lisa Aparicio was she seemed just natural. It didn't seem like she was acting, and maybe that's part of a come off from the film. She just looked like it was normal.
Hmm.
It was like she was actually the person, and I think that's ridiculously important when you're trying to decide whether or not somebody should be nominated. If you're in this role and it is seamless, that in itself I think is part of the reason why she was nominated.
Right. Um, but I would have loved to have seen Glenn Close win, just because, she's of a certain age, and it's so difficult for women once they get into their 40s and beyond to be recognized for their work and to even have the sorts of roles that are Oscar worthy,
Mm-hmm.
that command that sort of, prestige in the industry. And despite all of the, protestations about hashtag Me Too and, diversity and things have to change, blah, 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 Hollywood is still Hollywood. And the more things change, the more they stay the same. And so, there's a great deal of work that needs to be done. And I think, you fall back on old habits. So Hollywood is still, more focused on young women than they are on older women. Yes, strides have been made, but not enough. They're still focused on majority, those, they're still focused more on Caucasians than they are on any other color. And I think that's still true, although strides have been made in terms of that. Many strides have been made in terms of that, but it's still a creature of that. And it's still more focused on men than women, even though many strides have been made in that.
Mm-hmm.
That's why when Regina King won her Golden Globe, she made a point of saying, I work as a director too, and as hard as it's going to be for me, I'm going to make sure that half of my crew are women. And I encourage the rest of you to do that. She said that during that particular acceptance speech. And she's like, it's not easy, but that's why it's worth doing. So, I don't know.
I hear
So I just kind of see, change comes slowly, especially in Hollywood. And Hollywood's maybe television's like maybe 50 years behind the times, and Hollywood is probably like 70 or 80 years behind what's really going on.
Now, ironically, for me, when you were looking back and trying to decide whether or not you have a favorite film or a favorite set of films and all that within the realms of those films, my cousin Lisa introduced me to a film that um, I thoroughly enjoyed. And it goes to what we're talking about here, especially with regard to the sign of the times and how ironic things, don't change, quote unquote, in Hollywood. This movie was made in 1937. It's called The Women. And one of the cool things about this film is, and what is one of the reasons why I like it, but the film itself, the content itself was enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's the irony about the film. This film was made with no men. There are no men.
Yep.
Men are mentioned. Men are, um, for lack of a better way of saying it, there are situations where men are included, but only in verbiage. And when you were there, men were being talked to on the phone. You only heard the women talking and giving the expression of responses. Never the male going to the male scene where he's talking on the phone, or they said, well, they were talking about a waiter coming into one of the lounge areas, and yet they said, well, no, just send him away or whatever, so you never saw the guy. So it's one of those really wonderful films. I honestly didn't know that there were no men in the movie until about 2/3 in. And in that last third of the film, I'm sitting there like, wait a minute, I had to pause the dang film because it's like, whoa, there are no men in this movie. I was like, whoa.
Well, it was called The Women.
Yeah, I get that. And that's the irony in itself. And also the paradox, right? Because it's the women. So now it's literal. It's the women, and it's all these issues that are not only facilitated through femininity, but it also took that masculinity and added it to the film. And yet that seemed seamless and didn't even disturb the film in any way, shape, or form. And so no matter who's watching it, you are taken in by this film. So with that being said, this is a film that came out in the 30s that was way ahead of its time, right. Sadly, because it's acting like nothing changed. Even with the essence of this film that showed true moxie, showed true thinking out of the box, and yet that box was on the outside for a minute.
Right.
Then it went, as soon as that film did okay, not necessarily great, but okay, during its time, it went right back in.
Let's go back to what we were doing before.
And it's like, well, that was pretty good effort. Okay.
Right. Now let's get back to what we really do.
Yeah, next.
Right, next, exactly.
And then, so yeah, that's a sign of things not necessarily changing. But here, back to the Oscars, and we always talk about the British invasion. Well, Olivia Colman is a Brit. She won the Oscar for Favorites.
Yeah, and she was very British. That? God knows.
Who knew that?
It's like, stop being charming. You took an award that should have gone to somebody else, is what I said to the TV.
I can see you just hands on him. Stop being charming. How dare you come over here with that accent?
Yeah, with that
with your
I didn't know
true English education.
And not even just English, kind of a Scottish kind of tone to it.
Right. Your Anglo-Saxon language. How dare you, little lady?
Yeah, really. Seriously. Because I'm like, just get off the stage already.
Why are you so nice?
Yeah, exactly. That really pissed me off.
The thing that's going to really upset everybody is when everybody finds out that Sam Elliott is actually an English lord, and who just so happens to have a British accent with a Texas drawl to it.
Mm-hmm. Right, worlds will collide when that.
Like the most Texas man you could think of that's still alive in Hollywood, and all.
Brit.
Yeah. Oh, you didn't know? Yeah, he's from Wales.
I mean, he has whales in his backyard next to the flamingos and the steers. But yeah, that's Sam Elliott and Escott. I said, by the way, I'm really not a Texan. I'm British. Or worse, it's got a Cockney accent.
Okay,
You know,
that's
that was just,
Scottish, but who's counting?
hey, and that's why I'm being a film critic on the internet and not an actor.
Yeah,
Okay.
it turns out he's actually Irish, and we're all looking stupid.
Another piece of the puzzle falls into place.
So who knew if he had won the award, he had walked up, he had a kilt on, and we just
Can we talk about the surefire 100% lock that happened in animated features 2 years in a row?
Man, I was so
two years in a row.
Stoked.
Coco,
Coco,
#1
yes.
undisputed movie last year. Turn around this year, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse,
Yay.
undisputed movie. Except Spider-Man had a little, small tidge of competition, whereas Coco really didn't have any major competition, with The Incredibles 2 being coming in. But it you see the movie, it's this happened. Nobody else is going to win.
I was so glad to see that one.
Was pretty good.
It was good.
Incredibles too.
Love the new baby. Love the baby.
Oh yeah, Jack. Yeah, but just Into the Spider-Verse was just like here.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. Loved it.
So I was so happy to see that one.
Yeah, that was on point.
I love also how all the awards that Karen did not want Black Panther to win, Black Panther won.
Right.
Don't win costume. Don't win music. Don't win.
But there was one award that Hannah Blackley.
Yeah.
First African American ever to win production design. For Black Panther. And then Carter did win for best costume, and I thought that was awesome.
Here's the thing. The only thing that truly upset me about that was you only got a few minutes to get up there, 90 seconds. And it took 20 years for her to just get part of her dress to the side to take a step. Don't wear a costume that you can't get up on stage and get your award.
Was she the one that got saved by Captain America?
Yes. Which goes to show you, hey, Marvel sticks to its own.
Yeah, Marvel leave no man behind.
Right.
Chris Evans is like, here, let me give you a boost.
Right.
Well,
there was a photo where they edited Captain America's shield on his arm as he was helping her.
Yeah, she seriously needed some help, and I'm like,
yeah.
Okay. It's like if you need like an escort or like an apparatus to actually move around, that may be a costume issue.
She should have just rode down the aisleway on a panther.
or
no, that would have been amazing.
Spike Lee was there. His apparatus that makes you've got the sequence and you're moving like this. He just sat down and just moved it right up to the stage. That'd have been good.
Right. So no, I was very happy to see that award for production design. I thought the costumes in Black Panther were stunning, so I was glad to see that movie won as opposed to the typical period fare, because I believe the favorite, Mary Queen of Scots, was nominated for best costume, I believe.
Right.
And was the favorite nominated for best costume?
I'm trying to look for it right now.
The
Ballad of Buster
Scruggs. Yes, it was.
Okay.
It was costume design. Yep.
Yeah, Mary Poppins Returns and Mary Queen of Scots. Talk about a movie that fell off.
Mary Poppins?
Yeah, that movie just disappeared.
I mean, I like Emily Blunt. I think she's a great actress, in my opinion. But I think it's hard to – I mean, Mary Poppins, the original, was just really good, guys.
Mm-hmm. Also, Mary Poppins doesn't resonate in 2019. I'm sorry. Why are we reliving that again?
She doesn't resonate with kids. She still resonates with some adults, and that's probably who went to go see it.
Because she's so damn mean.
You know who wasn't mean?
Dick Van Dyke.
Phoebe Figurelli.
Yeah.
Do you know who Phoebe Figurelli is?
No, because I never watched the movie.
It's not a movie. It was actually a TV show. It was The Nanny.
Oh, God.
Oh, yeah.
Well, what they did was No, hear me out. They based the TV show off of Mary Poppins.
Yeah,
She
I got
wasn't
that.
mean. She was nicer. And I think they probably knew that. It just made her a little bit nicer, a little
Yeah,
bit more
Juliet Mills
palatable.
was very nice, and I used to like
A little
that
more
show when
palatable.
it came on when I was a child. I used to like that show.
Yeah, it was love that show, love the song, all that good stuff.
Hmm.
Well, here's the deal, guys. We're coming down to only about 4 minutes left in our broadcast. So, what didn't you like about the Oscars? One of the things I did like, they didn't have a host. I actually didn't mind
I
not having.
love no host. They don't ever have to have a host again.
I don't think so either.
Hey, Greg, I still like my idea.
Which
Which
was
is
again, Steve?
You do have a host, but you never see the host. The host is not there.
Right.
It's just Morgan Freeman's voice.
well, they did have a Morgan Freeman voice, except the voice was a woman, and she basically emceed off camera.
Oh, well, that works too.
Morgana Freeman?
Morgana Freeman.
Morgana Freeman, yes. I'm pretty sure her name was Morgana. But yeah, but they don't ever have to have a host again. It worked out just fine. It might have even gone a little bit faster just because you didn't have all the shtick.
Yeah.
They had a little shtick, but not nearly as much shtick as they normally have.
But that is, it's good to have a little bit to kind of break it up.
A little bit, right.
Any shtick coming from the actors and actresses during their speech, directors and all that,
Right.
I don't think is a big issue. But
I don't either.
When you literally start the show with like 15 minutes of somebody doing a routine, it's
right.
like let's go.
Yeah, right, exactly. So no, they don't ever have to have a host again. That worked out very well. I was surprised.
Yeah, I was too, and I enjoyed it from the beginning to the end. I didn't feel like I was bored. Really happy about certain wins, obviously, and
love that Regina King won Best Supporting Actress.
That started
Talk
everything
about that,
rolling.
where Bill Street could walk.
That was a wonderful beginning for me, and I'm not just a fan. I've been a fan of Regina King for decades, and really liked her TV show Southland. When it was
I love that show.
It was a great show. And I like the fact that she's a director, as you alluded to earlier. She's directed some really good TV shows, series episodes, as well as other films. So I'm a big fan of Regina King. So her getting the Oscar was paramount for me. Just wonderful.
Yeah, that was awesome. That's what I liked. And was there anything I didn't like?
No, I'm sure you'll find something.
What's that supposed to be?
Well, you know what? Although we don't have time for it really today, Karen, you haven't had a rant for quite some time.
You're lucky I'm even here tonight.
See?
Yeah. You've got some Royal Caribbean ranting coming. It's just not tonight, but it's gonna come.
Yeah, we'll see what the next subject is before we get into that.
Have you noticed that Steve and I were getting ready? You know, we're getting ready for they just kind of go out there and get with Michael B. Jordan just to get ready.
Yeah, whatevs.
All right.
Less than 1 minute.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for hanging out with us here at A Real Point of View. Check out our YouTube channel for some of our archives, and check us out for future episodes of A Real Point of View. We are your film critics on the internet, and if you have any questions, concerns, leave us a line. Let us know what you think, and maybe
be nice.
Maybe something you put out there on our comment line, we might be able to put that in one of our episodes, guys. So thanks again for hanging out with us here at A Real Point of View. Say goodbye, everybody.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye, everybody. Bye, John Boy.
Bye, John.